Okay, again, I'm Jim, and I'm an alcoholic, and I'm your 10-minute speaker. And I didn't always look like this. In fact, I think I'll tell you briefly what I looked like when I came into AA. And welcome, this is Alcoholics Anonymous, by the way, if anybody didn't know. And welcome the newcomers, and happy birthday to the birthday people. And boy, I'm really impressed with this crowd. This is great. I didn't expect this at all. I think Paul called me around 3 o'clock. Paul's my sponsor, and asked me if I wanted to come up here tonight, and I really didn't. I live in Laguna Beach, and it was nice and cool. I was sitting in the living room watching TV and my shorts, and then he called, and I said, of course I'll go. And I went in, got out my clothes, shined my shoes, put on a tie, took a bath, shaved, picked him up at 6, grabbed something to eat, and here we are. Well, anyway, I'm going to get back to what I was like when I first came in here. I got to watch the time here so I don't get carried away. I start talking, I don't shut up sometimes. In fact, most of the time, 8 to 9, 25 till. Okay. Anyway, I started to tell you what I was like when I first came in here, and I weighed 255 pounds. I had been an abusive drinker for 21 years of my life, which took me a lot of places where probably a lot of you people have been, in jail and whatever. I ultimately developed. I had a severe eating disorder. I was eating and drinking like a pig. That's what I am, a pig. And I ultimately developed, as I say, heart problems and then diabetes. And I was told by the doctors that I probably didn't have long to live in that condition. And today. I am 175 pounds. I'm a runner. My heart problems are gone. My diabetes is gone. I suffered from a long-term bout with low-grade depression, which is also gone as a result, I believe, of my exercising. I take no more medications anymore. I'm going to be 57 years old here shortly. I've got 6 years of sobriety. I relapsed at 13 years and started over again. That's basically my story in a nutshell. I started out back there by the back door as a scared newcomer, just like there may be a few here tonight. And I was explaining to you how when Paul called, I was willing to go in and take a shower and get dressed and shine my shoes and get ready and go pick him up and come to Paramount from Laguna Beach. And the reason I did that, I'll tell you, is because I believe that I have a message to carry. I believe that there's probably another newcomer here, just like I was 20-some-odd years ago when I first came into AA, that's scared and standing by the back door. And maybe something I or Paul would have to say might encourage you to stick around here. And I can only tell you this. We have a thing down in Laguna Beach. It's called Pageant of the Masters, and I don't know if any of you have ever been to it, but what it is, they depict famous paintings. People actually dress up like the paintings, like the Last Supper, for example. They have them on stage, they shine lights on them, and it looks just like the original painting with live people. And it's very hard to explain until you actually see it happen. It's very difficult to tell somebody from out of town what that phenomenon is like. But I was thinking, we were talking about it the other day, and I thought, it's a lot like Alcoholics Anonymous. I can stand up here and talk until I'm blue in the face, and I don't know if I could ever tell a newcomer what it's like to be in recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll try, but I don't know that words alone can do it. I think you ultimately have to experience the phenomenon yourself for you to understand what you hear up here many times. At least I did. As I say, I have recovered my life totally in this program. My wife is an Al-Anon. My son has 4 years of sobriety now. So basically our whole family, other than my daughter, who is a prime candidate for Al-Anon after all this wreckage, basically our whole family is in a 12-step recovery program of one type or another. So it's a remarkable phenomenon that I can sit here or stand here tonight and tell you what has happened to me. We were talking about, and again, getting back to the newcomers, I wanted to relate my experience early on in this program. As I say, I floundered around the outskirts of this program for many years, coming into meetings, sitting down, not having a sponsor, not working the steps, not being of service, and not really engaged in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I ultimately, after 13 years, as I related to you, relapsed. My half measures availed me nothing. Absolutely. I was as bad at the end of the 13 years emotionally as when I started. I wasn't drinking, but neither was I sober in a sense that we talk about here. At that point, I want to, again, get back to this idea of engaging Alcoholics Anonymous, becoming engaged in this program. And I want to relate the story of how it changed my life so dramatically from what I was. Basically, and I'm not saying that because my sponsor's here tonight, but sponsorship was the key element to me being the difference between being physically sober and being in recovery from the disease of alcoholism. That was the key turning point for me. I found that sponsorship led me to do things that I would have never, ever considered doing on my own. I just would not have. Number one, I was not an outgoing person. I was scared to death of you people in particular. I wanted nothing to do with anybody talking to me in here. I just wanted to come in and hear the meeting and go home and think about it. And it didn't get me anywhere. It didn't get me anywhere. Sponsorship brought me into the program. In other words, I had somebody that was an example for what I should do to get into recovery, that encouraged me to and showed me how to do things that I never would have dreamed of how to do on my own. And I don't know, and I'm not saying there isn't anybody, but I don't know of any successful person in this program that I've ever met that didn't have a sponsor. I have never met him. I'm not saying there isn't somebody, I'm just saying I have never met them. The second thing that Paul and I were talking about, again, I tend to simplify things so I can remember them. And because I'm not real bright either, I can't remember complicated things. But to me, there's two basic components that have to be mixed together here in order to become a winner or be successful in this program. One is action, and the other is the steps. And I heard an old-timer at our home group put it this way, that you have to put action to the steps. Those are the two ingredients. The action is the catalyst, and that's what makes this thing work. And the action is, the steps, of course, are in our book. And it's ideally, it worked well for me when I worked them with my sponsor and then incorporated them into my life and took certain actions that, like I say, would have never dreamed of taking on my own. I just never dreamed that me doing things would ever change my attitude about how I saw life. But they did, I'll have to say, looking back. I started out doing panels, being on a AA 24-hour hotline. I had a step study at my house early on in sobriety. I was doing things that I really, the only reason I was doing them because I was directed to do them by a sponsor. I would have never done anything like that on my own. And even at the time I was doing them, and sometimes even when I was through doing them, I really didn't realize what effect they were having on me until sometime later. So this idea of being of service led to other things. I became more and more, I was pushed into AA in effect. I do a jail panel at the Orange County Jail regularly every month. I was an intergroup rep. I've had different commitments at different meetings, and that very meeting I'm telling you about, that's my home group now, Again, I used to remember being a scared newcomer, standing by the back door and resenting everybody in the room and not wanting anything to do with it and swearing I would never be a part of it. I was just coming there for the meeting once in a while. Today, I'm the secretary of that meeting. That's how much my perspective of things has changed. And, I'm certainly happy to be where I am today. I can't tell you that I've done all this simply because I was afraid of drinking again, although it probably has some part in it. But and I'm not even sure that I knew what I was pursuing as I did all these things, of having a sponsor, working the steps, being of service, sponsoring other people. I sponsor a lot of people. And I really wasn't sure what I was pursuing here. Certainly sobriety was part of it. But the idea that we were just talking up here before the meeting, I've come to realize that this gift of life that we get from God is really what I'm after, what I'm enjoying today. In other words, I can be with my kids, I can be with my wife, I can enjoy everyday things, I can come here, I can talk with you, I can be a sane person today. You know, I can just, there's no limits to what I can do as a result of this program. And we were at a meeting Thursday night, and the topic was your favorite step, and Paul was talking about the third step, and that line in the third step, you know, relieve me of bondage of self. That, to me, is the key. That's not in the step. That's in the third step prayer. But in the third step prayer, it says, you know, relieve me of the bondage of self. And I say that prayer, I'll bet you, 25 times a day. Every time I get in a situation that I don't know how to deal with, or is overwhelming me, or I can't get to that last lap I've got to run, or that last phone call I got to make to some guy I sponsor at night, or something, I have to say that third step prayer and move myself out of the equation. Take away that bondage of self. Once I'm out of the equation, once I remove myself from the equation and I'm doing God's work, things go along very smoothly, and I find myself doing things that I would never, ever have done prior to being involved in Alcoholics Anonymous. I just would never have done them. I was not a finisher. I was the kind of guy that I could make a good showing. I could, I could come to a meeting for a while. I could get sober, stay sober for a few months, and I showed you I could do it. And therefore, I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't need you or this program anymore. I'd go back out and start drinking again. Now, I could go to school. I could get good grades for one semester, just enough to show them and you that I could do it, and then I go right back on, to no grades. So, this program has given me that final step, that solution to a problem I could never master myself, of my own volition. I could not deal with life when it came to the last step in life. And so, today I'm here. And I mean only today. This program only works for me. I can only keep this together one day at a time. I can only live one day at a time, only one moment. And, this is a great moment and a great evening to share with you guys. I know there's a lot of newcomers here, and I've just impressed you. We're all here tonight, and it's wonderful to see you come up and take chips. I can see that look in your eye, that gleam that starts when you get in here, and you keep coming around, and that gleam just magnifies and magnifies. And as I say, once that bondage of self is out of the way, there is no limits. There is just no limits to what you can accomplish in this program. And I would never believe if somebody told me years ago I'd be standing up here still alive, much less in good health at 57 years old. And I share this all the time. I'm in better mental and physical condition at 57 years old today than I was when I was 25 years old, as a result of having this program as a basis for a spiritual recovery, a spiritual connection with my higher power. So anyway, I think that's about it for my 10 minutes, and I believe, thank you for letting me be here, and let's see. Can we hold it down, please? Okay, I'd like to introduce our main speaker tonight, Paul Lowe from Laguna Niguel.